Councilors, take your seats, please. Good evening and welcome to the November 5th, 2015 meeting of the Revere City Council. Will everyone please rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Rigo?
Here.
Here. Councilor Janino? Here. Councilor Guanasso?
Here.
Here. Councilor Haas?
Here.
Here. Councilor McKenna?
Here.
Here. Councilor Morbido?
Here.
Here. Councilor Novoselsky? Here. Here. Councilor Patch?
Here.
Here. Councilor Reardon?
Here.
Here. Councilor Zambudo?
Here.
Here. And Council President Powers?
Here.
Here. A quorum is present. Approval of the journal of the meeting held on September 28th, 2015.
Motion to approve. All in favor, so ordered.
Calendar item number 1, hearing called is ordered on the application of a Woman's Concern, Inc., DBA Learn Your Options, 97 Broadway, Revere, Mass., seeking permission to install an awning.
Proponents. Are there any proponents? Come up, state your name and address, please.
Good evening, I'm Teresa Larkin. I'm the Executive Director of A Woman's Concern.
Would you explain to the council briefly, just what you're here for?
I'm sorry?
Would you explain briefly to the council what you're here for?
Oh, we would just like to construct an awning we have very old and outdated signage currently, and we'd like to replace that with an awning by removing the old signage and just replacing that with an awning.
Thank you. Are there any more proponents here? Any other proponents? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? Opponents? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Councilors? Councilor Guanasso.
Mr. President, I just noted one thing on the particular application. The certificate of liability insurance reads that the address is 103 Broadway, yet the application has been called for 97 Broadway. Is that a typo?
Yes.
So what's the correct address?
The correct address is 103.
So we should correct the minutes of the meeting to,
Yes, I'm
to read
sorry,
103?
yes. Mm-hmm.
Madam Clerk?
Oh, yeah. It's just there's a confusion. That's 97 is a GPS address in this day and age of GPSing people. So there's been a people have been kind of
So change that to 103 Broadway.
103 Broadway is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. President.
Councilor. Councilor Zambudo.
I don't see any, I have no problem with this proposal. I hope we can vote on it tonight.
Any other councilors? Councilor McKenna? No? Okay. We're going to take this up for a vote right now. Madam Clerk?
Shall the City Council approve the awning permit for 103 Broadway? Councilor Rigo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Gino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Haas? Yes. Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Reardon?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Powers?
Yes.
Yes. The awning permit has been approved.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Communications.
Calendar item number 2, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Patricia A. Melchionno, 79 Sagamore St, Revere, Mass. as a constable.
Appointments.
Calendar item number 3, motion presented by Councilor Morbido, that the mayor declare the month of October as Bullying Prevention Month in the city of Revere. Schools and organizations across the country join Stomp Out Bullying in observing National Bullying Prevention Month. The goal to encourage communities to work together to stop bullying and cyberbullying by increasing awareness of the prevalence and impact of bullying on all children of all ages.
Councilor Morbido.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a second part of an original motion that I passed in March when I gave the Rumney Marsh Academy Anti-Bullying Club citations of recognition for bringing awareness to bullying. So I think in a day and age where bullying is so prevalent, I think it's very important that we take a step as leaders and let people know it's not okay to bully. And if we set a day aside where we can create this awareness and it coincides with our national bullying throughout the country, I think it's a good idea if we move forward with this.
Thank you, Councilor Morbido. Any other councilors? Councilor Ganasso.
Thank you, Mr. President. Certainly, this is a great motion, and I think that bullying of any sort in the private sector is really unnecessary and unfortunate. When I was a young man growing up through the school system, I saw that at firsthand, some bullying. And every instance that I saw this particular activity, it made me sick to my stomach to see this type of activity occurring. And more often than not, it's friends and associates of the individual that they're bullying. So how does the youngster go home and spend the rest of his day after realizing that his friends were bullying him? So I think this is a great motion. I think there should be a strong awareness of it. There's somewhat of an awareness of it now nationally, and I think we are paying attention to this, but it's a real serious situation that's occurring on a daily basis, and we need to stop it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Ganasso. Any other councilors? Councilor McKenna.
I would just like to say to Councilor Morbido, this is a great move and a great motion, and I think it's a wonderful thing that we should do. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Councilor McKenna. Any other councilors?
There's some of us down here.
Councilor Rd.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
I looked down there and I didn't see any
I know,
hands.
I was hiding behind Charlie. I agree with this. This is, people don't seem to understand that when something like this comes to the fore, you need attention. You need to bring as much attention to it as possible. It's kind of like hidden, especially kids. Kids kind of need to be repeatedly advised about these things, and otherwise it goes out of fashion or they forget about it. So the more we can do to make it prominent in their minds that this is an acceptable behavior, both as children and hopefully going forward as adults, the better off our community and in fact our country will be. So I congratulate you on the motion. I'll be very much in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rd. Any other councilors? I agree with you on the motion. I think it's an excellent motion. First, I would take it one step further and advise the parents, if they suspect this is going on with regard to a child, that they make it a point to confidentially notify the police officer who was assigned in the Revere school system. I believe we have one over at the high school, and I think that might work very well to deter any further incidents. So with that said, on the motion, all in favor, so ordered.
Calendar item number 4, motion presented by Councilor Patch, that the mayor request the Traffic Commission to amend Schedule 5 of Title 10 one-way streets to make Derby Street one-way for the entire length from Squire Road to Malden Street. The current arrangement has been causing traffic tie-ups on Squire Road. Further, that the DPW sign department install new one-way as well as do not enter signage on Derby Street at the intersection, and that should read Grover Street, and a right turn only sign on Derby Street for vehicles exiting the Honeydew Donuts parking lot.
Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've over the last few weeks, have received several calls from Derby Street residents, and actually other people that just use that street. It is ridiculous, first of all, how they ever allowed this to happen in the first place. It just caused a major traffic problem with people that come that leave Northgate Shopping Center, that come across and use that Derby Street as cutoff, and somebody coming out of the donut shop the wrong way to take the left. It's just not room for two cars. So I mean, and one resident just this past week, 2 weeks ago, he was with his family trying to take the right on Squire off of Squire Road on the Derby where he lives, and the person coming out of Honeydew would not move, and he wanted him to back up on Squire Road, which is a very dangerous thing to do, and he wouldn't do it. So he had a standoff. I think originally it was done because they were going to do a drive-through in the Honeydew, but that never happened. So, and it ain't gonna happen. So, I really hope that the Traffic Commission just put it back as a one-way street and put the proper signage up. And another matter on this is, talking to Sergeant Janino, head of the Traffic Division, when Squire Road did the repairs there at that intersection, they wouldn't accept that as the way it was, it's written. They want to keep, they only accept the one-way street all the way. So, again, just to have a two-way, just for one building, it really causes a public safety problem that could be very dangerous. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Janino.
Thank you. I think this is a great motion on behalf of Councilor Patch, and I can tell you, living the street over, it is definitely tough. I just have one friendly amendment. Just from the books, it's Derby Road, so that can be sent to the Traffic Commission. But it's definitely a tough street, and I think it'll be beneficial to the residents that live across from that business and the business and everybody in that area in general. So great motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Janino. Any other councilors? Hearing none, motion's approved.
Calendar item number 5, motion presented by Councilor McKenna that the mayor request the Traffic Commission to establish resident parking only on Jones Road, Dolphin Ave, Atlantic Ave, and Unity Ave due to the close proximity of the MBTA station. These streets are being inundated with people that live outside of the city, parking in front of residents' homes for most of the day and taking the train into Boston.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, President Powers. So I've gotten a lot of calls with this, and one call I got from a woman named Amal who said her husband has cancer and she can't even park in front of her house because these people won't pay the $5 to park in the parking lot. And what they're doing is they're parking in these Jones Road, Atlantic Ave, Dolphin Ave, and Unity Ave, which are very short streets, but very like a corner away from the MBTA. So I'm asking to put permit parking signs. They're very small streets, so it will keep residents from other cities away from this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McKenna. Any other councilors? Here. So ordered.
Late motion presented by Councilor Powers that the mayor direct the DPW to check the catch basins in the Sagamore St, Dunn Rd, and Shawmut St areas to ensure they are free of blockages. Further, that the pump station on Dunn Road be inspected to ensure that it is operational.
Well, I realize that this past weekend we had a heavy rainstorm. And I know that down on Sagamore Street, there was probably 6 to 8 inches of water on the streets, probably enough to float a boat. And I think that if there's a catch basins down there that need to be cleaned, I think they should be cleaned. Not to clean them is unacceptable to the residents down there. I myself am a resident down there. And you don't like to come out your door and find 6 to 8 inches of water and make it difficult for you to get to your vehicle even. And I know down on Dunn Road, there's a small pump down there. I'd like to have that checked out and make sure it's operational and giving the relief needed to the residents down there. Any other councilors want to speak on this motion? Councilor Patch.
Yeah, just point of information, Mr. President, that's a work order. That's not really a late motion.
Well, I think considering the seriousness of the situation, I put it in as a motion. On the motion, all in favor? So ordered.
Late motion presented by Councilor Powers that the mayor request the Department of Planning and Community Development, city engineer, and DPW to televise the stormwater line that runs from Harrington Avenue to the Rice Avenue pump station to determine its structural integrity. This line services the catch basins in this neighborhood. Further, that the Rice Avenue stormwater pump station be rehabbed.
This is not something that requires a work order. To my colleague to my left, Councilor Patch. This is a line that starts at 12 inches down on Harrington Avenue, and it runs through the entire Point of Pines over to the Rice Avenue pump station. And how I became aware of this, I had a call from a woman that lives on Lancaster, and she told me her driveway was sinking somewhat. She wanted to have her driveway done, but she was reluctant to do so because of the situation where she might spend $3,000 or $4,000 and have to go and have the driveway done over again. So I went to the engineering department. I've asked them to televise this line, and then community development to look and see if there's any grants out there. And also the pump station down there is something that needs to be addressed. I spoke with the city engineer today, and he tells me that it goes back to the age of the original sewerage station in the Point of Pines. So I hope that the mayor will address this with his department heads and somehow get the money to make sure this is done. At least if we televise it, we'll know where there are any problems. On the motion, anybody else? Councilor Haas.
I'd like to speak on after this motion. I agree with you on the motion. I have a statement I'd like to make after this.
On the any other councilors? On the motion, so ordered.
Mr. President,
Councilor Haas.
I'd like to recognize Matthew Martelli for the job he did during the last storm. He's an excellent city employee, as we all know. He was down the floodgates and the B&M constantly on. Actually, he checked out all the floodgates and he prevented some major flooding. I know we had flooding, but some major flooding in the problems in the area. So kudos to Matt. He's doing his job as he should be doing.
I couldn't agree with you more. I've spoken with Matthew many times regarding sewerage problems, drainage problems, and he's always been acceptable. Councilor Reardon.
Just, if we're done with that, I'd like to raise a matter of personal privilege as well. I would like to offer our esteemed colleague, Ward 1, Councilor Joanne McKenna, a very, very happy 29th birthday.
Is your birthday? Ooh.
Thank you very much.
Did you want to say something? Okay.
I don't want to say anything. Thank you very much.
Obviously, next Monday, there is no city council meeting, and I want to wish all of the citizens of Revere a very happy and enjoyable Columbus Day. We're having a parade, and I would invite all of the citizens, young and old, to come out and enjoy the day. Our next meeting, Councilor Ganasso.
Mr. President, you through it. I just have an announcement to make that on Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock at St. Anthony's Church, the city will be giving out flu shots for anybody interested to attend. It'll be 10 o'clock on Saturday morning in the lower church of St. Anthony. Flu shots will be giving out.
That's great. I think that's great.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Yeah. Our next meeting will be on November 19th, October 19th. I'm sorry. Yeah. I said November. Yeah, and well, we're a little ahead. That shows we're ahead of ourselves.
Mr. President,
Councilor Zambudo.
I have a communication in front of me from John Varengia. Can we read it?
This is regarding Our Lady of Lourdes?
Yes.
Certainly you can.
You want to read it? Oh, here. I'll let the clerk read it because she reads better than me.
This is an announcement from John Varengia regarding a Mass at Our Lady of Lourdes Park this coming Sunday, October 11th at 11 a.m. After the Columbus Day breakfast, there will be a Catholic Mass celebrated by Father Daniel, administrator of the Immaculate Conception at the Lady of Lourdes Park in Beachmont at the corner of Endicott and Atlantic Avenue and Jones Road. Rain or shine, and bring your own seating. Sorry for the short notice, just got word from Father Dan this afternoon. Please try and spread the word as we continue to maintain a presence in Beachmont. Thanks.
With that said, this council stands adjourned until October 19th, 2015.